Hey everyone, welcome back. Turn off my AC here so that you can hear me. Turn down my music just a little bit here because it's a little too much. And I need to close this a little bit. Bring my mic a little closer so you can hear me. Alright, again, welcome back everyone. Welcome to the stream, to my video. What are we doing today? Today, I am hoping to finish the build of the Space Battleship Yamato from Star Blazers 2199. I prefer to think of it as just Star Blazers because that's what I grew up watching back in the early 80s, back when I was a kid. I loved that show. I loved this ship. It was the most fantastic thing. And I've waited, since 80, 90, 2000, 2010, 20, 40 years to get this model. And now I have it. And it is pretty much complete. You may have noticed I've got a few extra paints here on my desk. I spent a bunch of money buying some more paints from AK Interactive. Some of their washes and pigments, and I'm going to start trying to do pigments. I have a tank build that I'm going to be doing next, and I'm going to try my hand at using pigments. Unknown to me at the time, well, until now, pigments of course are dry powder paint, which you put on the model and then you use pigment binder to stick it to the model. So that's kind of a new thing for me, so I'm going to be trying that. But anyway, about the Space Battleship Yamato, or if you're like me and you knew the original Star Blazers, well, they called it the Argo in North America. So that's what I grew up. It was the Argo, not the Yamato, even though it technically was. But in the show, they called it the Argo. Anyway, the ship is pretty much done. As you can see, I've got my bridge. I've got it pulled apart here because I'm working on doing all the panel lines and doing some weathering because the ship is complete. I have it totally complete. I think if you watched my last one, I managed to get it put on the base. You might also notice it's a lot shinier than it used to be because I put a coat of gloss clear on it in preparation for doing all the panel lines and everything like that. So you can see my little light bulb there. This goes on top there. I won't put the light in there just yet. That sits like that. This goes on there. Like that. One more little piece. Where did I put it? Captain's quarters, or whatever you want to call it, goes on there. Doink. And then you have the guns. They just kind of press into there. And there. One goes there. I'm not going to put that in there just right now. One goes on the back. They're this size, a little bit smaller. Goes right there. Whoops. One goes there on the back. And then this final one. And it's complete. Just like that. And what's cool is you can position these wherever you want. They twist and bend. Well, they bend, but they twist. And of course the barrels, they all go up and down, all individually as you might want. Position them however you like. So that's pretty cool. I really like this. This thing does look really cool. All assembled. I've had it completely assembled and I got the lights all working. And everything lights up just the way I want it to. So basically, right now, it's all just doing the weathering. And that's it. And once the weathering is done, this will be done. And I can put it on the shelf. and it is actually going to take place of a model I have of the USS Enterprise. No, not the Star Trek one, the actual original aircraft carrier. This guy. This guy. I have this guy sitting on my shelf for, I guess about a year now. You probably see some of the dust on it. But if I keep this, I have no room for the Argo. So this guy's going bye-bye. And I've already, as you can tell, taken the deck off of it. I might actually have been toying around with the thought, because the planes are glued on there. See? Ooh, look at that. Of actually putting this on my wall and just going, hey, look at that. We got an aircraft carrier on the wall. I don't know. I've been toying around with that idea of maybe keeping it. There is actually quite a lot of detail in the tower for a ship of this scale, and I didn't do a lot of, you know, aging effect or anything like that on it. It is what it is, right? So yeah, so this guy's got to go. He's served his time. It's time to retire and let a superior ship take its place. Now you can see, I don't know, maybe you can't see. Yeah, you can see a little bit. Look over here. I did some, this is one of my first attempts to do like the rust effects of the ship, you know, in the sea, because it's old and everything like that. It didn't do too bad here, but it's not great. It's definitely not great. And you know, when you're sitting there looking at this thing from 5 feet away, it looks okay. But when you get up and you really start looking at it, it looks like shit. It looks like a kid did it. I just realized I'm missing an anchor. Oh well. So I saw a couple of videos on using things like this AK. This one happens to be called rust streaks. And so the instructions, basically, you take your brush, you brush this stuff on, do it over a clear coat, like a clear gloss, and then you use, they call this white spirit, or you can use their odorless thinner. Either one does the same job. So after putting on your streak effect, you go over it with the thinner, with a flat brush, and you just kind of feather out the edges and make it fade and stuff like that. And so, seeing how the great effects that can be done with these, I decided I'm going to buy a bunch, and I'm going to start trying my hand at that stuff. I decided, since this particular ship is going away anyway, that I figured I'd start trying it out a little bit. let me backtrack. What I did first, I decided, okay, I don't want to screw up the paint on my Yamato Battleship, because, well, for one, I only bought one can of this paint, and it is almost empty. So if I screw up the paint and I have to repaint it, that requires me going back to the hobby store to buy their one and only can that's remaining. And just to do touch-up, I don't want to spend another, because, well, I'm only going to be using this color once, and it's on the Space Battleship Yamato. And so I don't want to have to buy another one and then just have it sit and do nothing forever, you know, like I don't want to do that. So I want to do some experimenting to see what I can come up with, what's going to be good, it's going to look good, and all that. So I decided, well, what can I use to test it on? And I was thinking of possibly using the panel that comes off the ship, and test that, because it's kind of a smaller piece, and if I do have to repaint it, then oh well, I just repaint that one piece, and that's not so bad. But then I thought, well, why play around with that? Why screw that up? So I opened up my tank. Now the tank I'm going to be building is the Tamiya kit Israeli tank Tiran 5. I don't know if it's Tiran or Terran, Tiran 5. I don't know enough history on tanks to know how that's actually pronounced. I literally just thought, hey, it's an Israeli tank. I like Israelis. I'm pro-Israel. Anyway, and I think the tank looks cool, so I figure why not, right? Anyway, so I opened it up and decided the inside of the hull, well, I can use that as my little experimental piece. So I took my Yamato gray, sprayed a little spot in there, and then I took my glossy clear coat, sprayed it over top of that, and then I decided to play around with the streaking effect. And one thing I noticed, every build I've done so far in the last 6 months, when I do the streaking, I'll use like the panel line accent color, and I'll run along the lines, and you see there's little dots and stuff like that, and you get areas where you've put it that you don't want so much. And I have been cleaning it up using alcohol and a Q-tip. Dip my Q-tip in there and rub it and get rid of the panel line accent color. And what it has the tendency to do is it burns right through the paint doing that, and it'll go through the base color, and I don't like that, and I haven't liked that. And so in an attempt to protect my paint, I would go, okay, I know I'm going to do panel lines, so I want to do a spray clear on it. I just do flat clear because, well, that's what it's going to be in the end anyway. So I do a flat clear, do my panel line accent. In spite of the fact I'd seen in videos and stuff like that, some guys say that using a gloss clear helps the paint, helps the accent color run in the creeks, run in the cracks and crevices a little better. I don't know if that's really true. From what I've seen, it doesn't really run any better or worse if you're using a flat clear. It's about the same, I think. The improvement is very minute. Anyway, so that's what I've been doing to try and protect that base color underneath as I start rubbing the hell out of it with the alcohol on the swab. And it's done okay. Of course, the alcohol doesn't do a fantastic job of getting rid of it, so you wind up rubbing a lot, and you rub harder, and then it'd be a burn through the clear, and now you're into the base color. And that's what I've been dealing with for about 6 months. So now I'm doing my little experiment with this. I have spray painted gloss clear on here, and then I started applying my engine grime and threw it on there, and you can see it in there in all these little places where I've just left it. Put that on there, and then I took the thinner, and I just take the brush, dip it in the thinner, kind of dry it just a little bit, and then you just brush it, and it took that engine grime color right off and never touched the clear coat at all. The clear coat, well, okay, I'll be honest, the clear maybe has gone down a little bit, but the base color is 100% preserved. So much better than rubbing it out with a Q-tip. I'm just going to do, while I'm talking about it right now, I'm going to show you. Put a little bit of alcohol in this. And I'm going to rub it right on that spot there where my finger is. And I'm going to pretend that I'm trying to rub off this panel line stuff. And I'll just continue. And there we go. It's burned right through the clear coat and right through the paint. So if you want to get rid of all your paint, you can use alcohol. But this thinner, where did I wind up putting it? This thinner, it burns through this stuff like no tomorrow. It's like if you brush it too much, it's gone, right? It just erases this stuff completely, but leaves all that. And I think in part because you don't have to rub the crap out of it. Actually, in fact, I'll be back in a sec. I need to get I need to get a new Q-tip anyway. So let me go grab a Q-tip here. I'll be back in a minute. Just grab one here. I'm just going to try. I'm going to dip it in the thinner, and I'm going to see if I can get rid of this spot here where I've done that. I'm just curious. Will the thinner actually get rid of it if I rub it enough? We'll see. I'll just sit here and rub it and rub it and rub it, and we'll see. I'm seeing a little bit of the brown engine grime coming off, but it's not taking the clear or the it's just starting. So if I really, if my intention was to get rid of the paint, I could. So you saw how much. You just saw how much I spent rubbing in that area compared to this with the alcohol. Like I bent my Q-tip trying to rub that off. So I found my new favorite thing for doing panel lines and stuff. Yeah. Okay. So I decided, let's see what this stuff looks like. I don't want to test on the ship. So I decided I'm going to experiment on the old Enterprise. And so I did. Right along here. And I mean, the intention is to make it look old and weathered and look, I always say it looks like shit. But it's supposed to. And that looks, this little area that I did, and I just did half-assed and wasn't really trying to make it look great, that looks a lot more aged and weathered than that exact same area on this side. And that's just a little bit of effort. And the beauty of it is if I don't like it, I can use the thinner and just get rid of it all. If it's like, you know what, I fucked up, I shouldn't have done it in that area, pardon my French, I can use the thinner and I can just get rid of it. In fact, this has now been 2 days. And I'm going to try it. Because this paint seems to not really set, for lack of a better term. And I might be able to just eliminate this. Look at that. It's been 2 days and it's already coming off. And I'll take my this and look at that. Cleaned it right off. Look at this one too. This side too. Get in there right in that little rivet area. Almost like I never did anything. It's fantastic. I love it. And I'm actually looking forward to doing that on the actual ship. So, I've got some work cut out for me. So I'm really happy about that. I'm really happy that I discovered this. It's not really a discovery, but it is for me because I didn't know about it. And that's really great. So, that being said, I have decided to go with not the rust streaks, but where did I put it? Where are you? Where are you? It's not a pigment. It wasn't one of the pigments. It's this one. This one is also by, well, they're all by AK Interactive. They call this one Kerosene Leaks and Stains. Kerosene Leaks and Stains, and that's basically the color right there. Is it black? Not quite. It's close, but not quite. And that's what I've chosen to do all the panel lines on this guy. So, I've done the engine. You can see the lines are nice, distinct black colors on this now. You might be able to see on the fins too, a little bit. Let's see, get that in the center, maybe it'll focus. No, let's try this camera. Oh, it's so glossy. So you can see the lines are definitely defined now where I've put that. You might wonder, why does your engine look so weird? Why have you gone that? I figured, you know what? With the heat of the wave motion engine, it's probably generating a lot of heat. Maybe they had it painted the same color as the ship at one point, but during use, it's gone and burnt away the paint on the end, and you're seeing more of that burnt steel color now. And yeah, so that's my reasoning behind that. And I don't know, I think it looks okay. I didn't want to go total. I've seen some guys build this thing and they go a total, you know, like a jet thruster kind of look on it. And I did that at first. I had it all painted gunmetal, and it just didn't look right to me. It just didn't look right. And of course, in the show, they don't do anything like this. They just have it the same color and whatever. So I deviated a little bit from the cartoon look or anime look by doing that. But I think it looks a little bit more realistic to what it would be. It's just me. It's my choice. It's my freaking model. Anyway. Yeah, so that's where I've gone with that. And then I've done the guns. Although they're subtle. Now, in the pigments, again, we're going back to the pigments. I have a pigment that I chose. It's just black. It's just black pigment. I decided I'd use that on the tips of the barrels. You might be able to notice that they're a little bit blackened. I went with the black tips, like, hey, they've been fired a lot, and so they got the little black tips on them. And I used the black pigment and just dip the brush in a little bit, get a little bit off there, and just kind of just lightly brush the tips, just to blacken the tips a little tiny bit. And so yeah, I've done that. And then I just used the black grease and whatever they call it, just to go in all the little lines all around there. I just use a little brush and do that, go around the lines. So it's subtle. I don't want to go too heavy on it. I just want to give it that look. to define all the lines, right? Because there's a lot of panel line detail on this thing that you don't really see from far away unless you actually draw them out, right? So the other thing I did discover, using the Tamiya panel line accent color, I can use this same thinner to clean it up, because it cleans up this stuff fantastically. And looking at this, all these paints are all enamels, and this is enamel too. But I think they're gloss, they're clear coats, they're spray paints. I think their spray paints are lacquer. I don't know for sure. And of course, it doesn't say this is spray lacquer, blah blah blah, right? It just says to me a spray paint, extremely flammable, liquid and vapors, right? Doesn't tell you what it actually is, whether it's lacquer or enamel. And I don't know. If you're watching this on YouTube, put a comment down below and let me know if Tamiya spray paint is actually lacquer or enamel. I don't think it's enamel, because if it was, this thinner would burn through it, right? So that's my guess, is that this stuff is lacquer, and that's why that thinner doesn't burn through it like that. That's my guess, that's my theory anyway. If you're wondering what I'm drinking, it's soju, Korean. It's like Korean beer, except it's 12%. So like drinking one of these is like drinking 3 Canadian beers, maybe 2.5, like 5 American beers. Anyway, got a couple of these. I figured I'd try them out. This one's strawberry. Tastes pretty good. And yeah, I kind of feel like I've had a couple beers only drinking 1 bottle of that stuff. Anyway, so yeah, drunken modeling, no. Where am I here? I'll find my brush. Oh, the little planes that come with this kit. You get 2 of each. And I haven't done really a lot of detail on them, but I did spray paint. These ones are white. I think this is the little medical ship. I can't remember now what function this was. I think this was a medical ship, or maybe the science ship. This one, I'm not sure what this one was. It's very familiar, like maybe they used a ton of these ones. Maybe these were the red shirt guys, you know, that all went out and died. And same with this one. Maybe another one of those. I'm not sure. And then we got Wildstar's ship. His, of course, was gray, but then had the red on the front. I just haven't done the red yet. So yeah, I figured I'd paint up 1 of each. Good enough. These other ones here, you may have noticed, those have come off the Enterprise. And, you know, this is an F-18. And it's like the same scale, like the size is actually like identical. Yeah, I got 2 F-18s here, and this I think is, I'm not sure what that plane is. Is it an A6? I think. I'm not sure what that one is. Yeah, so I got those planes. So yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do. I gotta do all the lines and then clean them up, and then once all the black lines are done, spray paint the whole thing in a flat clear, seal it all in, and then it's done. Completely done. So I'm not going to spend the entire video showing you this whole thing, because this might take me 3 hours. I don't know. I might not even finish it tonight. I do want to try, I don't know, apple or peach? I'm going to try peach next. Peach should be good. I've heard good things about peach. Especially if you go to the country, you gotta get ready to eat a lot of peaches. It's okay. Definitely not as good as a strawberry. There's probably why there was tons of this and not so much of strawberry. But it's okay. It's a little strong. Woo-hoo. Anyway, so I got panel lines to paint. Yeah, not that great compared to the strawberry. I won't be buying the peach again. I think I'm going to put on my other glasses so that I don't have to sit here the whole time without being able to see. Okay, so this stuff just looks like thin paint. It's very thin and almost watery. So I just kind of take it out of the lid. It's very thick that way. And I'm basically just drawing along the lines. I think what I'm going to do when it's all said and done is I'll use the thinner to almost wash over it all, and then wipe it off with my paper towel. That might be what I wind up doing. So that I get in all the lines. The way I want. And the beauty is, for the red, I actually have a red color specifically for red ship hulls. So I don't have to worry about using the same dark gray or black or whatever on the red part of the ship. The other thing that's really cool is, you know, even if I paint outside the lines a little bit, that thinner is going to clean it all up for me. So in a sense, it's kind of foolproof. And I like that. The fact that even if I make mistakes, they're not anything to be concerned about, because I can clean it up and fix them later. And that's pretty cool to me. Another thing I've been exploring or looking into is the world of Gundam models. kind of branching off from my my interest in Transformers. Gundam has always kind of intrigued me because they kind of look like giant robots, even if they are, you know, controlled by people. They are basically giant robots, and I like that. So I've been thinking maybe one of these days I might pick up a Gundam kit. And see how they go, or how that goes. And of course, if I like it, build more. Maybe wind up with a Gundam collection. But I really don't know. We'll have to wait and see. So as you can tell, I'm just going along different lines, following them along. I see little divots, I see little squares that are bumping out, just outlining them. That's all I'm doing. When it's all said and done, I'll go back over it with the thinner. And get rid of the excess. Which I'm definitely going to have to do there because I didn't even follow the line there. The brush I'm using, as you can see, is not like super fine tip or anything like that. It's just a nice little pointy brush. Not big, not small, it's kind of medium size. What size is this one? They usually say this is number 3. So yeah, it's not super fine. I do have a smaller brush I could be using instead, and then I wouldn't have to clean up quite so much, I suppose. But that's not a huge concern. We're getting there, we're almost done. This section anyway. thing I did not do when I was putting the guns on this thing, particularly in this section. You've got all the anti-aircraft guns that go along the sides here, right? I've seen guys, they put them on there and they all are in nice, perfect uniform, all pointing in the exact same direction, just like clockwork. And I don't like that at all. I don't know why it bugs me, but it does. It's like, I don't know, they're not run by robots. You know, and when they're at rest, does it matter that, you know, one is at certain degrees and the other's not? So I have put them all kind of, yeah, most of them are in the same direction, but not all. And to me, that just seems a little more realistic. I don't know why. But it does, for some reason. So on my ship, they don't all point in the exact same direction. There was one guy I saw on YouTube, on his model, he decided to paint all the tips of his guns silver, just to kind of make them pop a little more. And it actually looked pretty good. I don't know if I will do that though. I would rather my gun barrels all have black tips. So I don't know if you can see the difference. I don't think so. And of course I'm wearing my other glasses, so it's hard to tell how that looks on this camera there. But all the little black detail and that, I don't think I want to do a lot of, like, maybe a little bit of kind of black or some darker tones where the gun actually rotates. Almost like, hey, you know, they would put a lot of grease around that so the gun can rotate good. And that would be something that would be noticeable. I think that's a reasonable assumption. I'm a little too enthusiastic there. Cool part about this is that you can make it really subtle. Like, it doesn't have to be a harsh, I mean, yeah, I can paint that on there and you can see I've changed that color, But if I just let it wash a little bit, it's, you know, what I want to do is kind of around the base here, kind of wash that out a little bit. And same with this rear cannon, right around the base. And let that sit. Some lines that I didn't notice until now. Alright, that about does it for that section. Now we have, I don't know, the intermediate bridge. What I want to do is give this a reshake, because it will settle after time, right? And since I like just pulling it out of the lid tends to dry, or the contents of the lid kind of dry out. As I get closer in on this, on the detail, my glasses don't work anymore. Little lines to paint on this one. If I know I've loaded my brush up a little too much, I'll just kind of dab into the line until there's not quite so much on my brush, and then I can go back over and then actually draw on that line. I'm not quite so overloading it with paint. always wondered, you know, like, who comes up with the ideas of all the different details for stuff like this? You know, it's a total fictional thing. So many fictional pieces to it. Unreal, you know, unrealistic. But they do enough to it that makes it seem like it's plausibly real. And that creativity really amazes me. Alright, that one's done. Where's my bridge? I think my bridge is up here. Not the bridge, the captain's quarters. So he's got his little communications thingamabobbers. Just yet another detail I haven't done on this is put in the clear pieces that go in the spots like here and here, and then on each side of the main artillery. When it's all said and done, I will be posting more pictures on my Instagram of the finished product, so everyone can see. Okay, this part's done. Oh no, it's not. I have these to do. So it's not a lot, but it's enough. Like I said, it's not a lot. That's one, there's the other one. There we go. Okay, now it's done. Now we gotta move on. The next part. Let's just tighten that up. See, good thing I put the lid on. Thinner because I don't want my brush to dry out. I'm just gonna do that for now. Okay, so those proved to be no good. Let's see. See, I took these parts out because they have the clear green lenses in them, and I don't want to paint that. When I go over it with the flat clear, I don't want to accidentally spray those flat. They need to be nice and shiny and glossy, right? Just like they should be. But anyway, I'm just going to do this, and I need to paint a little bit of the red detail on that before I move on to the big part. Did I shake this? I don't think I did. That's what I was trying to do. There's a little bit of red. I want to just do a little bit of detail on this part. This isn't a lot darker, it's just a little tiny bit. But if that tiny bit helps it just the color pop a little bit better, and that's good. Fuck that up. Like I always do. It's an extremely subtle difference in color. It's almost not worth doing. Hopefully it'll show it better on the bigger part of the hull. But on that, it's not worth doing. It's kind of a waste of my time. No. That's okay. That's okay. Okay, I want to check something out here. Where are we? Boop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doo. Okay, good enough. So, with that, like that, I'm actually not, I'm not unhappy with my progress on this part. I think it looks pretty good. Maybe the odd little spot where maybe I dabbed a little too much on there, but for the most part it looks pretty good. But what I do need to do is go over it with thinner. Now this thinner, if I can find it again, it's starting to get some color to it because I've been using it. So that's where this is going to come in. It's much. This is brand new, nice and clean, and never been used, and so I can use it to clean it up. Now here's going to be something that's going to be different. So these guns, I have them clear coated in flat clear, whereas the rest of the ship is gloss. And I figured I'm going to do an experiment. I'm going to try the flat clear over the gloss clear and see what happens. I don't think it's going to be much of a change. That's my anticipation. Other than maybe the flat clear wears differently. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But we're going to find out. That peach stuff is awful. I hope the apple is better. So, dip my brush in thinner. Clean it off a little bit. Make it almost dry. Okay. And I want to just kind of clean it up. And then kind of dry it off a little bit. I don't need to dry a lot because it's going to dry on its own. But I don't want to just wipe it with the thinner and then say, oh yeah, they're done. Is really all I'm doing. I just want to clean up where I just went a little too heavy-handed with the brush. That's all I'm wanting to do, is just clean that up. And that looks pretty good, I think. Yeah, I think that looks good. One done. Oh no, maybe not quite. Those are just the tops of those steps. See, I know that in the real world, they actually have ladders going up the top of these, going up here on the guns. And they've mimicked that with like what looks like stairs or steps of some sort. One gun done. One gun done. Now, one thing I am making sure to do is I'm going across and not into the groove. Because if I go into the groove, I'll basically pull the paint right out of it. And that would be a little bit detrimental to what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to clean it up, not clean it out. This one I don't have to clean up very much at all. So this gun is done. Gun number 3. My brush is getting a little dry, so I'm just going to dip it in again. I did a great job on this one. Three guns done. 3 guns done. How's this one looking? I want to clean that up a little bit. Definitely, I'm going to say it cleans up a lot easier on the gloss clear. This one happens to have gloss clear on it, and it sure cleans up like fast on the gloss. You can just barely touch it and it's cleaned off. This one is flat on it. Takes just a little bit more. I think maybe on the flat it kind of goes into the paint a little bit more. I don't know, maybe the flat absorbs it just a little bit. I almost have to use the thinner sparingly, otherwise it's easy to take too much off. Okay, that's done. So those are done. Get some more on here. More on. A couple of spots in the front here. This one a little too much. there's a sense in which I want to leave. Like, I don't want to even clean up the deck so much, even with after brushing it away with the thinner, because I think it'll give it a, you know, a weathered look just in leaving that what I've cleaned off. Really does a good job. I really like it. I'm really, I guess you could say I am a fan of these paints and this thinner, the ability to clean it up. As much or as little as I like. It's really really fantastic. Oops, you're not pressed in there good enough. I might have to glue that one down. It's kind of wiggly. Wiggly there, dude. Yeah, I am happy, very happy with the way this thinner works on this. Very happy. Very impressed, very happy. Alright, that one's cleaned up good enough the way I like it. Okay. Wasn't much to do on this. Looks pretty good. good to me. Captain's quarters. There wasn't a lot of detail on this one, so I just basically went around a couple of little panels, and so there's not much to clean on this because it's just, I don't want to clean up the panels too much. Not a ton of grooves. That's basically what I'm trying to say. And that's that. Okay. And that's that. So these parts, they're all cleaned up, they are done. They're ready for a final flat clear coat. And they will be completely done. I haven't decided yet whether I want to stick something in through the bottom and pry the clear lens off of there before painting, or just mask it off. I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do there. Because I got my screwdriver here, but it's a little too fat to go all the way through up to the top. Just a little bit, I think. Oh, maybe it is. Maybe I can get it through. It's so tough that once you get these parts, some of these parts on there, they do not want to come off again without a lot of coercion. It's just a little too... It's not quite enough. There we go. That was a good push. Yeah, let's scratch it. That's what we need to do. There we go. Got her. Okay, so now I don't even have to worry about masking that off. All my clear pieces are done. Actually, why don't I just do that now? Clear coat that now. Give me an excuse to drink this. There. I still have the apple one to go through. Okay. Do these guys first. Flat clear. And I'm going to apologize now for the speaker pop as I turn my fan off. As usual, I don't need to go crazy and super thick with the clear. I think I want to take this apart and get that out of there. Remembering how this all went together. Forget it. First of all, let's do this. I don't know if that's being painted is going to be anything different. But I do have this little tiny one at the back that I want to protect. So I might as well keep it protected, right? There we go. Okay. That should just pop right off of there. It almost does. Oh yeah, that piece kind of cements it all in. In their brilliant way of getting everything together. So I could actually just pop that piece out and not have to worry about masking it off. Now literally all lenses are out. Get off of me. Okay. I'm not going to put it back together quite as tight as it was, but it's together. Okay. Glasses. That's done. These guys are dry to the touch now. These guys are ready to go on the ship. Well, no, they're not. I have to put the little clear lenses in these two spots here. All three of them. How's it go? It goes like yeah. Yeah. Okay. Captain's quarters. I think I'm going to use my tweezers. Not tweezers. Alligator clips. That'll do it. Done. All right. Now the main, I don't know, deck, bridge, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And it also has a clear piece in there. And I think there's some guns that aren't quite pushed down all the way. I think, let me try and pull that off there. Can I pull that off there? No, that's part of the main. But I am going to stick a piece of tape on there and cover that up. And that ought to be good enough to do the job just like that. Alright. This is going to require a couple of different angles, so I'm just going to hold it like this so the under parts. Ooh, that was close. Can you hold it? You will, but I don't trust you. Okay, that's painted. Painted and done. Done like dinner? Is it like dinner? No. No, not quite like dinner. We're going to do that. And grab another one. And do that same thing on this guy. And when this is all done, I think what I might do is get some sandpaper and just run it along the big peg that this sits on, just to make it turn a little bit easier. And I might do that with the main guys too, because they fit in those holes and they're really tight. And I'd like it if they could just turn just a little bit easier, you know? Okay. Oh, these guys. 2 more alligator clips. Not much to those ones. Pretty small. Where's my other one? There it is. Okay. Peripherals are all done. Oh, no, I lied. This guy, we got the engine to do. So pop that out because I don't want to paint the clear on there. Now this is where I might run into a little bit of a problem. I don't necessarily want to paint the engine, the bare metal part. It kind of looks cool that it's shiny, you know? We'll see how it looks. Maybe I just kind of paint around it. I don't know. We'll see. See how it looks. Definitely don't need to paint the fins though. See how that looks once that dries. It might be okay. It might not be. We'll see. I need like a fat peg to sit that on. Fortunately, this, to me, a spray paint dries really fast, so just leave it like that. And we're done. Well, that part's done. I need to continue doing the exact same stuff on the main guy. But I think I'm going to be done for tonight. Because I don't really feel like doing any more tonight. I really want to be honest. I'm done spraying. Turn my fan back on. What I will do is reassemble this now that it's all done. So this comes back off. This little guy goes in there. Just like that. This comes apart again. And this comes apart again. This comes apart again. This comes apart again. Does that need to come apart again? It needs to come apart again. There we go. Okay, that goes. How did that go? It goes like this. Then this goes on, back on. This goes back on. Does it? Wrong side, I think. Goes back like this. Like so. Then this goes back on. Reassembles that. Good thing that's dry. Yep. We grab our little clear lens thingy. This one should be for this one. Yep. That goes on there. Just like that. That is ready. We can put the clear lens back into this one. I don't know why, you know, some guys, I've seen the videos where they're taking their freaking Tamiya masking tape. Is it Tamiya? I think so. And they're covering up the little lenses in here individually. And it's like, why the frick don't you just pull the thing off and pull the lens out, put it back in, and then spray paint it? To me, well, that was a hell of a lot easier than masking off all those tiny little things individually. Is it just me? I mean, doesn't that seem like the simpler solution? I mean, yeah, it's a bit of a pain to have to pull these lenses off. This one was difficult, you know, but the one thing I haven't done yet, I have not painted the two little bars that go down on there. I don't know if you can see them, but there are two little tiny bars. You can sort of see it on the other side, on this side. The camera will decide to focus. It kind of is for a second and then not. There's two bars that go down. If you watch the show or you see any still pictures, you'll see there's two bars that go down there. I haven't painted them yet. And what sucks is, I don't want to mask it and then spray it, because it looks like shit. But I don't have this color in a brush paint. And I went back to the hobby store where I found this paint, and I looked and I looked and I looked, and they don't make it, or at least they don't have it. So my only option, if I want to paint that, is to paint it the wrong color. You know, to pick a color and try and mix it and make it the same, or do what I've done in the past, grab a box and take the spray paint and spray paint in the corner. I've done that in this one, right? Spray paint in the corner there, so I get a puddle of paint, and then just dip my brush in and paint it real quick before the paint dries. I've done it before. I could do it on this. Won't be the end of the world if, you know, whatever. This turned out okay. Put that back together. That is ready to go back onto the ship, but the ship is not ready for it yet. So I'm just going to leave it off, and especially because I have to pick the ship up and move it and shit. I don't want these big fins accidentally snagging on anything. So that gets to just sit off to the side for a while until that's ready. This is now ready to go back on, and this is now dry. Oops. One particular gun was like, hey, I want to move. I might wind up gluing the guns down. Then again, you know, once this is all done and I've put it on a display, I'm not going to be picking this up all the time anymore. So I just leave it. And there we get the bridge back together on there. And we get this guy back in his home where he belongs. And we're done. I guess I could put the little gun back on. They're dry. You guys are dry. Now, because of the way this kind of sticks out, you see that curve there, that actually comes out over top of the gun a little bit, so you can't put the gun on like this. You have to turn it sideways or pull this whole thing off. But turning it sideways allows me to do that. But oh yeah, I was going to get a bit of sandpaper and just sand that down a little bit. I grabbed some 160 grit and just kind of clean it up just a little bit. I don't need to do a whole lot, just want it to do a little bit, you know? Just so it slides in there a little bit easier. You know, 3-4 coats of paint and stuff. It takes its toll. Yeah, it turns considerably easy now. I still don't want to turn it just by touching the turrets, or touching the barrels, but it's not that big of a deal now. I mean, if I really wanted to go crazy, I could spray a little WD-40 on there and then it would really turn easy, but I don't think that's necessary, because it's going to sit there and it's going to be like, yep, I'm done, I don't need to move at all for the next 2 years. I'll do the same with this one, just so it's just so they're consistent. Really all it's doing is just taking a layer of paint off. And there we go. And so that part of the deck is completely finished. This one actually is now loose enough I can just push by the barrels and turn it. So maybe I just need to do a little more on this one. More on? Let's pull that out of there. I'll just do a little more. Just pick a little spot, different spot on the sandpaper. And just sand it a little more. Perfect. Just like that. Yeah. There we go. So that's done. So I'm basically going to do just more of this exact same stuff, but on the bigger piece, on the bulk of the model. And that's it. And then it'll be done. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to stream this live, finishing that up. But what I will do for YouTube is I'll cut the video and then I'll show you when I'm all done, and I'll kind of display it and blah blah blah, so you get to see it on YouTube. But also once I'm all done, I'll take all the still shots, I'll take some pictures, and I'll put them on the Instagram and do that. So I'll do my plugs. If you're watching this on Twitch, check out my YouTube page. Go on there, follow me on YouTube. You can hit the little bell thing, tap that, and then you get notified every time I upload a new video. If you want to do that, go ahead. If not, then, well, don't. If you're watching this on YouTube, head on over to my Twitch. Follow me on Twitch. I need more followers on my Twitch. I'd like to get affiliate. That would be really cool if I could get to that point. I need 50 followers for that, and I don't have that yet. So if you're watching this on YouTube, please head on over to my Twitch, www.twitch.tv/duplicitous_29, and yeah, follow me on there. It doesn't cost you anything except maybe a couple of minutes to set up an account, a free account on Twitch if you want to do that, if you don't already. If you want to see still pictures, I've mentioned a couple times already, head on over to my Instagram. I've got still pictures of this build plus other builds I've done in the past. If you want to check those out, if you're interested, go right ahead. What else? I have Twitter. You can go on my Twitter. I don't really go on there much, but if you want to message me, yeah, you can do that there. But my DMs are open on Twitch also, so if you want to message me directly on Twitch, you can do that. And with that, we're going to call it an evening. And yeah, so thanks for watching. Thanks for coming out. And yeah, I think, I'm not sure, it's been a long time since I've actually looked at my schedule on Twitch, what I've actually reported as my schedule. I've always, when I started out, I tried to stream like every other day, but I found, unfortunately, real life gets in the way and I don't have the time to do that. So I wind up mostly streaming on Saturdays and Monday evenings. That seems to be the most common days that I stream live, which of course turns out that those are the same days that I upload on YouTube. So anyway, excuse me. With that, we're gonna say goodnight, and thank you for watching. Thanks for coming out, and oh yeah, thank you for all the people who have been talking in my chat today. All the non-existent, non-talking people. Yeah, thanks for all the questions and giving me something to talk about. Yeah, was there sarcasm in that? I think there was, just a little bit. Anyway, thanks for watching, and yeah, next couple of builds will be a little bit different. I've got a tank, I've got a Corsair F4U-4B, I've got a Star Wars AT-AT to build, X-Wing, not an X-Wing, TIE Fighter, and an Imperial Super Star Destroyer, which is about this big. Yeah, I got a few of those lined up coming up. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and we will see you all next time.